In a landscape full of twists and thrilling promises, Red Bull Racing is about to embark on one of the most intriguing talent hunts in Formula One in recent years. With the future of the second cockpitted stake, all eyes are on Yuki Tsunoda, whose current performance has left both fans and critics scratching their heads. As the young Japanese driver struggles to find his rhythm at the pinnacle of motorsport, the team is already beginning to look beyond the traditional boundaries of the category, dreaming big about signing a name that could redefine what the perfect partner means for Max Verstappen. Tsunoda, once seen as the next big phenomenon to emerge from Red Bull's junior driver program, is now facing one of the most challenging periods of his career. Despite joining the main team amid sky-high expectations, his results over the past seasons have been disappointing. Across 12 race weekends so far, he has scored only 7 points in the championship, numbers that hardly impress a team accustomed to dominating the tracks. His contract will expire later this year, and while there is a window for renewal, it is increasingly clear that Tsunoda will need to undergo a true transformation in his performance to convince Laurent Mekies, the team's new director, and other members of Red Bull's leadership that he deserves another chance. The pressure on the driver has never been more intense, and by all indications, his destiny may already be out of his hands. But if the present seems uncertain for Tsunoda, the future promises to be absolutely fascinating, and it involves a name few would have expected: Alex Palou. Yes, that very Spanish driver who has been shining brilliantly in IndyCar, winning titles and setting new standards of excellence in American motorsport. Red Bull's interest in Palou is not entirely surprising, but rather a strategic move that demonstrates the team's ambitious vision. They're clearly willing to push beyond the conventional limits of Formula One to secure the best possible teammate for Verstappen in 2026. An American journalist from IndyStar dove deep into this story, revealing details that only fuel our curiosity further. At 28 years old, Palou is no stranger to the global motorsport scene. He grew up racing against names like George Russell in karting, had brief stints in GP3 and Formula 2 before deciding to explore new horizons in IndyCar. Since then, his trajectory has been nothing short of spectacular. After a solid rookie season with Dale Coyne Racing, he moved to Chip Ganassi Racing, where he quickly proved his worth. Now he has just claimed his 4th Drivers' Championship in 5 seasons, a monumental achievement that places him among the biggest names in the recent history of the series. It's no wonder Red Bull has their eye on him. Although Palou has vehemently denied any official negotiations with Red Bull to date, persistent rumors suggest that the team has already started planning to bring the Spaniard back into the world of Formula One. According to reports, Palou's current contract with Chip Ganassi includes a lucrative buyout clause, specifically designed to attract top teams should they decide to make a serious investment to pull him out of IndyCar. This situation raises exciting questions. Would Red Bull be willing to pay this considerable sum to secure Palou's services? Or would they prefer to negotiate directly with Chip Ganassi to avoid legal complications? The answer seems obvious when considering the team's recent track record. After all, Red Bull has shown that money is no obstacle when it comes to building the ideal driver pairing. Remember the case of Sergio Perez? When the team decided to terminate their agreement with the Mexican early, they simply paid the contractual penalty without hesitation. This suggests that if Red Bull truly believes Palou's the key piece to complement Verstappen in 2026, they will do whatever it takes to bring him on board. But the core issue goes far beyond numbers and contracts. For someone like Alex Palou, who has found his true home in IndyCar and built a career full of glory, moving to Formula One would not just be a professional decision, it would also be a deeply personal choice. In an interview with IndyStar, Palou reflected on this with rare candor. He said, "There aren't many seats I'd consider swapping for," referring to the number 10 Chip Ganassi car with which he has achieved so many memorable victories. It's really hard to beat. His words sound like a love letter to IndyCar, but also leave room for speculation.
Could the prospect of racing alongside Verstappen and being part of Formula One's dominant team change his mind?
Another fascinating aspect of this story is Palou's previous relationship with McLaren, another global motorsport giant. For several years, he served as a reserve driver for the British team, participating in tests and promotional events. Zak Brown, McLaren's CEO, has always been vocal in his support for Palou, repeatedly highlighting the Spaniard's exceptional talent. In a 2023 interview with Autosport, Brown stated, "Alex has been very impressive in IndyCar. The competition there is fierce, so for him to win as many races as he has, the way he has, is very impressive. He is definitely a very strong talent." However, this relationship hasn't always been smooth. Doubts arose over the legitimacy of the contract Palou had signed with McLaren, culminating in a legal battle he attempted to use to terminate the agreement. This complex episode raises further questions. Would Red Bull be willing to face potential legal disputes to bring Palou to their team? If there's any lesson to be learned from how Red Bull conducts business, it's that they don't hesitate to tackle complex challenges when they see a unique opportunity. The team has repeatedly shown that they prefer to chart their own path, regardless of conventions or obstacles. Should they decide to move forward with Palou signing, they could choose to cover the buyout fee in his Chip Ganassi contract, offer a substantial proposal to McLaren, if necessary, or even support Palou in any legal disputes that may arise. All of this is part of the game when pursuing talent of Palou's caliber. However, the biggest hurdle might be convincing Palou himself to leave his role as IndyCar's Verstappen. In IndyCar, he is revered as one of the greatest drivers of his generation, with the creative freedom to lead a top-tier team and win races consistently. In Formula One, even as part of a dominant team like Red Bull, he would face a completely different challenge, racing alongside Verstappen, one of the sport's biggest modern stars, whose shadow can intimidate even the most confident. Would Palou be willing to embrace this challenge, knowing he would have to constantly prove his worth in such a competitive environment? Additionally, there's the matter of how Palou sees his own identity as a driver. In his own words, "The fun part of being a racing driver isn't being famous. I like winning races." This statement reveals a lot about his mindset. He's not interested in status or glamour. His passion lies purely in the craft of crossing the finish line first. In this sense, IndyCar provides a unique setting where the focus is largely on racing and less on the internal politics that often permeate Formula One. Convincing him to make this leap will require Red Bull to present something extraordinary, perhaps a promise of equality within the team or the chance to make history alongside Verstappen. Meanwhile, fans around the world are eagerly waiting to see how this story unfolds. The idea of Alex Palou arriving in Formula One in 2026 is enough to ignite the imagination of any motorsport enthusiast. Picture the scene: Palou, with his diverse experience and refined driving style, taking on the best in the world on iconic circuits like Spa-Francorchamps, Suzuka, and Interlagos. His presence could add a new dimension to the rivalry between top teams, especially if he manages to maintain the same level of consistency and success he demonstrated in IndyCar.
For Red Bull, this move would be more than just a driver swap. It would be a bold statement of intent. By pursuing someone like Palou, the team would be sending a clear message to the rest of Formula One. They are not just content to win, they want to redefine the standards of the sport. Signing a driver with Palou's credentials would also serve as proof that Red Bull is committed to exploring new territories and broadening the horizons of the category, bringing in talent from different corners of the motorsport world. However, many questions remain unanswered. What will become of Yuki Tsunoda? Will he get one last chance to prove his worth, or is he destined to leave the main team? And what about Chip Ganassi Racing? Would they give up their star driver without a fight? Furthermore, how will Palou himself view this potential transition? Each of these questions adds layers of complexity to a storyline that is already incredibly rich and multifaceted. One thing is certain: Red Bull is about to enter a crucial phase of its recent history. The decisions it makes in the coming months will shape not only its immediate future, but also the overall landscape of Formula One. With Verstappen firmly established as the team's undisputed leader, the role of the second driver will be critical in determining whether Red Bull continues its era of dominance or faces challenges greater than it has ever imagined. And if Alex Palou is indeed destined to occupy that seat in 2026, we may be about to witness the beginning of a new era, one marked by intense rivalries, electrifying performances, and stories that will be told for generations. Therefore, as the world eagerly awaits the conclusion of this saga, one thing is undeniable. Motorsport has never been so vibrant, unpredictable, and full of possibilities. Red Bull, with its insatiable ambition and long-term vision, is ready to write another epic chapter in this journey. And who knows, Alex Palou may be the final piece needed to make this story even more legendary.